People Mastery presents On Your Marks, Get Set, Lead, A Beginner's Guide to People Leadership. Written and read by Anna Marshall. For Neve and Miles, for you, dear listener, and for every other beginning leader out there, may this be just the audiobook you've been looking for. A leadership haiku. Inspiring leaders foresee who we can become and invest in us. Acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples of this nation. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which the members of the People Mastery team and our families live and love. The Bundjalung, Ngarigo, Ngunnawal, and Worimi peoples. We also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands where we connect with our clients. We pay our respects to ancestors and elders, past and present. We deeply appreciate and honour Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples' unique cultural and spiritual relationships to the land, waters and seas, and their rich contribution to society. Disclaimer. The material in this publication is of the nature of general comment only and does not represent professional advice. It is not intended to provide specific guidance for particular circumstances, and it should not be relied on as the basis for any decision to take action or not take action on any matter which it covers. Listeners should obtain professional advice where appropriate before making any such decision. To the maximum extent permitted by law, the author and publisher disclaim all responsibility and liability to any person arising directly or indirectly from any person taking or not taking action based on the information in this publication. Introduction. Your choice. There are many people who have a responsibility for people leadership who have made the choice, consciously or unconsciously, to serve themselves rather than the people they lead. These people occupy CEO roles, team leader roles, and everything in between. I'm sure you've spotted some of them along your way. Sadly, people who have made this choice are still too common in so many of today's organizations. Early in my career, I was working as a human resources manager when I was called in by the then CEO for a chat. He wasn't the most endearing man I'd ever met, and the feeling of dread was slowly rising in my stomach as I walked towards his office. "Sit down," he said. So I sat. He leaned forward across his desk, hands clasped, and trained his beady eyes on me. "It seems you're unclear on your role here. Let me clarify for you. Your job is to get the last drop of blood out of each and every one of the employees in this business. Got it?" Meeting over. True story. As bizarre as it sounds, I wish all people who had decided to serve themselves rather than the people they lead were like this man. Why? Because it would make such people who haven't chosen people leadership very easy to spot. His lack of care for others was so blatant, his lack of people leadership so easily identifiable. Ultimately, it made it easy for me to decide to leave that CEO and his organization. Management and leadership are not synonymous, though you are forgiven for thinking they are. They're often used interchangeably. Sadly, I expect many of you have had a manager who is ostensibly responsible for other people, but who couldn't lead hungry teenagers to McDonald's. It's a very demoralizing experience. The L word. Let's have a closer look at this L word, leadership. It's everywhere these days. Thought leadership, global leadership, brand leadership, project leadership. The list goes on and on. What we'll be talking about specifically in this audiobook is people leadership.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?